Concrete and fluorescent lights. Blood on the floor, still warm, spreading in a slow crimson pool beneath the sedan's rear tire. The underground parking garage of Sterling Aviation smelled like motor oil and gunpowder. Ethan Cross stood between three armed men and a little girl clutching a stuffed rabbit. His gray janitor uniform torn at the shoulder fabric, dark with blood. The wound burned, but his hands remained steady. The lead mercenary laughed, weapon-trained center mass. Professional stance, tactical vest earpiece, not rent-a-cops, real operators. "You're just a janitor, old man." Ethan's voice came out flat, empty of emotion. "Last chance. Walk away." The child behind him whimpered. Emma, 7 years old, blonde hair, tangled eyes wide with the kind of fear that leaves scars. Captain Hoppy the rabbit pressed against her chest like a shield that couldn't stop bullets. The mercenary's finger moved toward the trigger. What happened next took 18 seconds. 0 to 2, Ethan closed the distance before the man's brain registered movement. Forearm strike to the wrist bone met bone with a crack that echoed off concrete pillars. The pistol clattered across the floor, spinning into shadow. 2 to 5 second mercenary lunged from the left knife, already clearing the sheath. Ethan pivoted, caught the wrist mid-thrust, used momentum, and a sharp twist to break the elbow. The man screamed. The knife joined the pistol in the darkness. 5 to 9 third mercenary fired. Muzzle flash lit the garage orange-white. The bullet sparked off concrete 6 inches from where Ethan's head had been. Already moving, already inside the shooter's guard. Palm strike to solar plexus, knee to face as the man doubled over. Weapon stripped before the body hit the ground. 9 to 12 lead mercenary recovered, reaching for backup piece on his ankle. Ethan's boot connected with his jaw. Teeth and blood. The man stayed down. 12 to 15 second mercenary tried to rise despite the shattered elbow. Ethan applied pressure to the neck, precise, not lethal. Just enough. The man went limp. 15 to 18 marriage, silence except for Emma's ragged breathing and the distant hum of ventilation fans. 3 men down. 0 shots fired by Ethan. 0 unnecessary force. Muscle memory was a dangerous thing. Ethan turned, voice instantly soft. "Hey, sweetheart, you're safe now." Emma's face crumpled. Tears came in a flood she'd been holding back through sheer will. She ran forward and Ethan caught her, lifted her despite the burning in his shoulder, let her bury her face against his neck. "You saved me," she whispered into his collar. Her whole body trembled. "Always." The word came out rough, weighted with promises made to ghosts. His phone vibrated. He answered with his free hand, kept his eyes on the garage entrance, where headlights now appeared. Multiple vehicles. More coming. "Ethan, do you have her?" Victoria's voice, panic barely controlled. "I have her, but we have a problem." The first SUV rounded the corner, then a second, a third. Headlights flooded the garage, turned everything stark white and black, no middle ground. They brought reinforcements. Emma's grip on Captain Hoppy tightened until the rabbit's fabric groaned. 36 hours earlier, Ethan had been invisible. The executive floor of Sterling Aviation at 11:47 p.m. resembled every corporate space after dark. Fluorescent hum, empty cubicles, the ghost town feeling of money sleeping. Ethan pushed the mop bucket in smooth figure eights, left no streaks, made no sound beyond the whisper of damp cloth on tile. His phone buzzed. Medication reminder for Noah. The prescription app showed numbers that didn't add up. Bank account $183.47. Medication needed $412 gap, $228.53 between his son and breathing easy. Ethan's jaw set. He pocketed the phone and kept mopping. "Mr. Cross," he turned. Victoria Sterling stood in her office doorway, tailored black suit despite the late-hour exhaustion written in the shadows under her eyes. Behind her, through the glass wall, a small figure curled on the leather couch. Emma asleep, clutching that rabbit. "Yes, ma'am. Sorry, I'll..." Victoria held up a hand. "Could you keep the noise down?" My daughter finally fell asleep. Of course. Their eyes met for half a second. Something flickered in her expression, recognition without context, the feeling of knowing someone from a dream. Then it passed. She nodded and closed the door softly. Ethan watched through the glass as she returned to her desk, lowered her head into her hands, surrounded by contracts and spreadsheets that demanded solutions she couldn't find at midnight. The weight of the world in business casual. He knew that weight, had carried it himself, once different uniform, same crushing responsibility. He finished the floor in silence and moved on. 4:30 a.m. came with the violence of a phone alarm Ethan had learned to wake before. His apartment occupied 600 square feet of a building that had been cheap in the 90s, was cheap now, would be cheap until the city finally condemned it. One bedroom for Noah, living room couch for himself, kitchen that barely fit a table. Bills stacked on the counter in order of which would get paid first. Rent, electricity, Noah's medication. Food came last. The photograph on the nightstand caught streetlight from the window. Sarah, 28, blonde hair caught by wind, pregnant belly, just starting to show smile that could make him believe anything was possible. The photo was 3 years old. She'd been dead 2 hours after it was taken. Interstate 5 near Tacoma. Rain, semi-truck jackknifed. Sarah's sedan caught in the wrong place at physics' worst moment. The police had called him in Kandahar. He'd been in a briefing about operation timelines and asset placement. He'd let it go to voicemail. By the time he called back, she was gone. The baby Noah, born premature by emergency C-section, 3 pounds lungs, not ready for air. Ethan had gotten emergency leave, arrived stateside to find his son in an incubator, tubes and wires, and beeping machines fighting for every breath, with lungs scarred from the start. Severe asthma, the doctors explained. Lifetime condition, expensive condition. He'd left the Army 6 weeks later. Couldn't fly helicopters anymore without seeing her face in every piece of glass. Couldn't lead men into danger when he'd failed to answer one phone call. Couldn't be Captain Cross when all he wanted was to keep one small boy breathing. Now he checked Noah's room, listened to the raspy rhythm that meant his son's lungs were inflamed again. The inhaler sat on the nightstand next to a nebulizer that looked like something from a science fiction film. The boy slept through it, small body, curled tight chest, rising and falling with effort. Ethan touched his forehead. No fever tonight. Small mercy. I'm trying, buddy, he whispered. I'm trying. He dressed for his day shift at the warehouse, second job, third, if he counted the weekend security gig he'd just picked up. Left a note on the kitchen table, breakfast in fridge. Mrs. Chen picks you up at 8. Love you, Dad. The words felt inadequate. Everything felt inadequate. On his way out, he paused at the closet, knelt, pulled out the box he kept under old winter coats. Inside, Ranger tab, sniper qualification, badge, service, ribbons, medals he'd never worn after the ceremony. Beneath them, a photograph. 5 men in desert camouflage, desert sun, bleaching the colors toward white faces, young and grinning, with the immortality complex of soldiers who hadn't buried friends yet. 4 faces he could name: Jackson, Martinez, Williams, Hayes. The 5th circled in red Sharpie, Michael Sterling, written beneath in handwriting that wasn't Ethan's. Michael Sterling, best friend, best man at his wedding to Sarah, godfather to Noah. The reason Ethan was alive. The reason Michael was dead. Ethan closed the box. Some parts of the past stayed buried because digging them up changed nothing except how much it hurt to breathe. 5:45 p.m. Employee parking at Sterling Aviation. Ethan arrived 15 minutes early, like always, creature of habit, creature of training that said early is on time and on time is late. His janitor shift started at 6. He parked in the employee lot's furthest corner spot. Nobody wanted to walk toward the building through gathering dusk. Commotion ahead. Victoria's black Mercedes driver's door open. Emma crying in the back seat. Victoria outside, phone pressed to her ear, voice sharp with controlled panic. I don't care what the board wants. I need security now. 3 men approached from her blind spot. Tactical movement angles of approach that cut off escape routes, hands hidden but positioned for concealed carry. Not security. Wrong body language. Wrong intent. Ethan's training kicked in before conscious thought. Assess 3 targets, mid-30s fit professional. Count weapons, assume all armed. Threat level immediate. Action plan, intercept, establish barrier, de-escalate, or neutralize. He moved without deciding to move. Miss Sterling, get Emma inside. Now, Victoria spun. Saw him, janitor uniform and all. Saw the 3 men. Understanding flooded her expression. Fear and calculation happening simultaneously. The lead man smiled without warmth. Walk away, maintenance man. Not your business. Ethan positioned himself between them and Victoria's car, close enough to act, far enough to have reaction time. His voice came out flat, empty of negotiation. Ma'am, inside. Now, the lead man reached for Victoria's arm. Ethan's hand intercepted, caught the wrist, applied a lock that used the man's own momentum against his joint textbook execution from the Army Combatives Manual. The man gasped, weapon yes. There it was, shoulder holster, visible as his jacket shifted. The pistol clattered to asphalt. The other two froze, hands moving toward their own weapons but stopping mid-motion when they realized Ethan's position gave him leverage on their partner's wrist, his shoulder, his entire balance. One wrong move and something broke. Ethan's voice stayed flat. Touch her again, I break more than your wrist, understand. Security arrived late but loud, two guards with flashlights and radios. The three men exchanged looks, professional calculation, cost-benefit analysis happening in real time. The lead man nodded once. Ethan released him. They retreated in formation, tactical spacing. Maintained, got into a dark sedan and left smoothly. Not amateurs. Victoria stared at Ethan. The way he'd moved, military precision, zero hesitation, pressure, point control that came from years of training, not YouTube videos. Who are you? Ethan stepped back. Let the janitor mask settle over his features again. Just someone who was in the right place, ma'am. He turned to leave. Wait. His phone rang. The school. Caller ID Seattle Academy. His stomach dropped before he even answered. Mr. Cross, Noah had an asthma attack. We administered his emergency inhaler, but you need to come now. Ethan was running before the sentence finished. Forget the shift. Forget protocol. Forget everything except his son fighting to breathe. He reached his car in seconds, engine roaring, tires squealing out of the lot. Behind him, Victoria stood holding. Imama watched him disappear. Something clicking in her mind, pieces of a puzzle she didn't know she was solving. Mommy Emma's voice came out small. That man moved like Daddy's friends in the pictures. Victoria's breath quit. She looked down at her daughter, then back at the empty space where Ethan's car had been. Seattle Children's Hospital emergency room at 6:30 p.m. meant organized chaos, nurses moving with practiced urgency, machines beeping their various alerts, the smell of antiseptic and fear. Ethan found Noah in bed, 3 oxygen masks covering his small face, chest rising and falling with mechanical assistance. The boy's eyes opened when Ethan took his hand. Dad. Hey, buddy. Ethan's voice came out softer than he knew he could make it. You scared me. Sorry. Couldn't breathe. Not your fault. Never your fault. He kissed Noah's forehead, felt the clammy skin, the slight tremor that meant the attack had been bad. The doctor appeared, clipboard in hand, expression sympathetic, in the way medical professionals learn to show concern without drowning in it. He'll be okay, Mr. Cross, but these attacks are getting more frequent. He needs the controller medication daily, not just the rescue inhaler. I know. I'm working on it. The prescription is $412 a month. I can connect you with assistance programs. I'll figure it out. Pride. Self-reliance. The values drilled into him by a father who'd worked construction until his back gave out, who'd never asked for help, who died owing nobody anything. Ethan wouldn't take charity, wouldn't admit defeat, would work 3 jobs if that's what it took. Noah's small voice cut through his thoughts. Did you get fired? You left work. Ethan's heart cracked. 5 years old and worrying about money, about consequences, about adult problems that should never touch a child. Nobody. My boss will understand. You're more important than any job. The words felt hollow even as he said them. Truth was, he'd probably lost the shift, maybe the gum and the math didn't work without that paycheck. But Noah didn't need to know that. Noah needed to believe his father had everything under control. They kept Noah for observation. Ethan sat in the plastic chair and watched his son sleep. Watched the oxygen monitor. Watched the numbers that meant breathing or not breathing, life or incremental death. His phone buzzed. Text from Sterling Aviation HR, need to discuss your early departure. Please call tomorrow. Translation, you're fired. Ethan deleted it and kept watching Noah breathe. Victoria's office at 8 p.m., the building mostly empty, Seattle skyline glittering through floor-to-ceiling windows that cost more than Ethan's annual salary. She sat at her computer searching Ethan Cross. Results, nothing. No Facebook, no LinkedIn, no Twitter. Just an employment record at Sterling Aviation, hired 8 months ago, janitorial services references from a temp agency that barely kept records. Before that, a gap. Complete absence from the digital world, which was its own kind of presence. She called Jenkins, head of security, ex-Seattle PD, 20 years keeping corporate secrets. I need a background check on Ethan Cross janitorial staff. The guy from the parking lot already ran him when he hired in. Clean, no red flags, run it again, deeper. That wasn't clean, that was trained. Silence on the line, thinking happening. You think he's military. I think he moved like my husband used to move. The weight of those words settled between them. Michael Sterling, Army Ranger killed in action 3 years ago in Afghanistan. Operation details classified. Body returned in a sealed casket, no answers provided. I'll make calls, Jenkins said quietly. Victoria hung up, opened her desk drawer, pulled out the stack of letters Michael had written during his final deployment. Worn envelopes, ink fading paper soft from repeated reading. She'd memorized most of them. Knew which ones mentioned home, which ones mentioned Emma, which ones said I love you in Michael's careful handwriting. One letter dated August 2020 referenced someone else. Can't say where I am, but I'm with my unit. Good men. There's this one guy, Jay, who saved my ass twice already. Best shot I've ever seen. Sniper qualification scores off the charts. If anything happens to me, V, find him. He'll protect you and Emma. Make him promise. Jay keeps his promises. Always. Victoria's hands shook. She pulled out another letter earlier deployment. Jay and I pulled overnight watch. He showed me photos of his wife Sarah pregnant with their first. Made me promise if anything happened to him, I'd check on them. Made me swear on my wedding ring. That's the kind of man he is. The kind who thinks about promises in the middle of a war zone. Another letter 1 month before Michael died. Something's wrong with this mission. Can't explain details, but Jay feels it too. We're being set up. If we don't make it back, find Jay. His real name is Ethan Cross. Find him, V. He'll know what to do. Victoria's breath stopped. Ethan Cross. Her phone rang. Jenkins. You're not going to believe this. Cross's file has a gap from 2016 to 2021. No employment, no address, nothing. I called a buddy at DOD. The name's flagged. Flagged how classified. Special access required. He said the only people with flagged names like that are special operations. Black ops stuff. The kind that doesn't exist on paper. Victoria hung up, stared at the letters spread across her desk, looked at the photograph of Michael in uniform, smiling arm around younger, her both believing they had time. Find Jay, Michael's last request, his dying wish. And Jay had been mopping her floors for 8 months. Emergency board meeting the next morning, 9 a.m., every member present because the email had used the word urgent. Victoria at the head of the table, her father, William Sterling, to her right. 8 board members in tailored suits, checking phones, and wondering what justified pulling them from golf courses and vacation homes. Also present, Richard Blackwood. Victoria's stomach dropped. Blackwood had no reason to be here, no invitation, no board seat. Yet there he sat, expensive suit, predatory smile, confidence of someone who'd already won. Mr. Blackwood, you're not on this board. Why are you here? Blackwood stood, walked to the head of the table like he owned it. I'm here to make you an offer, Miss Sterling. Blackwood Defense Industries would like to acquire Sterling Aviation. $300 million. Cash. All outstanding debts cleared. Board members received generous severance packages. Murmurs around the table. Several board members leaned forward. We're not for sale, Victoria said flatly. Your father built this company on military contracts. But times change. You've lost 3 major bids this year. Revenue down 32%. Margins shrinking. Board members are concerned about their investments. He moved around the table slowly, casual predator, making rounds. You know what I find interesting? Your late husband, Michael Sterling, brilliant engineer, was working on something before he died. A classified drone guidance system. Adaptive AI targeting. Revolutionary technology. Worth approximately $200 million in military contracts once operational. Victoria's face went white. That project was classified. Black budget, no paper trail. Where is that technology now, Miss Sterling? Because my sources say it's still in development, still in your R&D labs. And if you won't sell the company, maybe I'll just take the technology. That's theft. And that's classified DOD property. Then why hasn't DOD taken possession? Could it be because you've been stalling? Finishing Michael's work yourself? Using company resources for a project that technically belongs to the government. He knew. Somehow Blackwood knew everything. William Sterling stood, voice hard. Get out of my building, Blackwood smiled. Gladly. But Miss Sterling, you have 72 hours to accept my offer. After that, things get complicated. For you, for your daughter, for everyone you care about. He left. The room erupted in whispered conversations. William turned to Victoria. What technology? What is he talking about? Victoria's hands gripped the table edge. Michael's final project, the adaptive targeting system. It's almost done. If Blackwood gets it, he can sell it to the highest bidder. Foreign governments, enemies, anyone with cash. Why didn't you tell me? Because Michael died getting the prototype intel. Because it's the only leverage we have. Because her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered despite every instinct screaming not to. Miss Sterling, a voice distorted mechanical. Your daughter is adorable. I especially love her little rabbit. Captain Hoppy, right? Victoria's blood crystallized to ice. Who is this? Someone who wants Michael's technology. 72 hours. After that, Emma's going to have a very bad day. Incidents happen to children. Cars lose brakes. Fires start in bedrooms. So many tragic possibilities. The line went dead. Victoria stumbled. William caught her arm. Victoria, what, Emma? Where's Emma at school? Security detail on her. Not enough. Call Jenkins. Now her hands shook so badly she could barely dial. Ethan's number pulled from the employee directory memorized for reasons she hadn't understood until this moment. He answered after one ring. Miss Sterling, I need your help. Her voice broke. Please, they're threatening my daughter. His voice changed, shifted from janitor deference to military command in half a second. Where are you, boardroom? But Emma's at, I know where her school is. I'll get there first. Stay where you are. Lock the doors. I'm calling Jenkins for backup. Why are you helping me? Pause. In that silence lived 3 years of guilt, promises made to dying men, debts that couldn't be repaid, only honored. Because I made a promise. 3 years ago. To someone who mattered. He hung up. Victoria stared at her phone. William's hand on her shoulder, steady, confused. Who was that? Victoria's throat closed. She looked at Michael's photograph on her desk, then at the letters in her drawer. I think it's Jay. Ethan's car reached the school in 8 minutes. Traffic laws sacrificed to urgency. He parked illegally, ran inside, found the principal's office through pure forward momentum. Emma Sterling. Where is she? The principal looked up, startled. And you are? He showed his Sterling Aviation work ID. I work for her, mother. There's been a credible threat. I need to see Emma now. Security guard appeared, hand moving toward his weapon. Sir, you need to leave. Ethan's eyes cataloged everything in 2 seconds. Guard's stance, weapon placement, door exits, window angles, potential threats, response time, if he had to move. Old training, old reflexes, never truly dormant. Then Victoria burst through the door. It's okay, he's with me. Relief transformed her face when she saw Emma visible through the classroom window. Blonde hair and pigtails, laughing with another student, innocent and safe and unaware. Ethan's voice dropped to tactical briefing mode. 2 men in a black SUV circling the block. Third time they've passed. Not parents. Windows tinted. Plates government issue but wrong registration format. Professional surveillance. How did you? I noticed things. We need to move, Emma. Now, my car. I'm not putting my daughter in a stranger's car. Ethan turned, met her eyes directly. Let the mask drop completely for the first time. Victoria, Michael sent you letters. About Jay, about someone who would protect you if anything happened to him. Victoria's breath caught, suspended somewhere between lungs and throat. I'm Jay, Captain Ethan Cross, 75th Ranger Regiment, 3rd Battalion. I served with your husband in Afghanistan, Operation Horus in August 2020, and I'm the reason he's dead. The words landed like body blows. Victoria staggered, behind them through the window. Emma laughed at something her teacher said. Oblivious, innocent, the world still safe and simple in her 7-year-old understanding. You're the one he wrote about. Her voice came out hoarse. You were there when he, yes, and I won't let them hurt his daughter. I failed him. I won't fail you. Outside, the black SUV pulled up to the school entrance. Doors open. 2 men got out, moving with purpose. Ethan's voice cut through her shock. We're out of time. Trust me. Please, Victoria looked at him. saw determination, saw guilt carved into features that had carried it for 3 years, saw the same expression Michael used to wear after missions that cost lives. Get Emma. Ethan moved through the classroom door without knocking. 23 children looked up from art projects, crayons pausing mid-stroke. The teacher stood mouth opening to object, but Victoria appeared behind him, principal in tow authority overriding protocol. Emma saw her mother and smiled. Then she saw Ethan, recognition flickering the man from the parking lot who'd moved like her father's photographs. Emma, sweetheart, we need to go. Victoria's voice stayed calm despite the tremor underneath. But we're making now, baby. The tone cut through childish protest. Emma gathered Captain Hoppy and her backpack, confusion replacing compliance as Ethan knelt to her level. Emma, I'm a friend of your mom's. We're going somewhere safe. Can you be very brave for me? She nodded. Rabbit pressed against her chest. Good girl. Stay between your mom and me. Don't let go of her hand. They moved through the hallway, Ethan positioning himself between the entrance and his charges, eyes scanning doorways, windows, exit routes. The black SUV idled out front. Driver visible now. Military haircut, scanning phone, not concerned because his partners were already inside. Back exit, Ethan said quietly. Through the gym. Victoria started to question, stopped herself. Trusted. They diverted left, Ethan's hand gentle on Emma's shoulder, guiding without pushing. Behind them, voices rose, someone demanding to see the principal, professional, courtesy masking threat. The gym's rear door opened to the faculty parking lot. Ethan's sedan sat 3 rows over, dented, forgettable, chosen precisely because it disappeared in traffic. Get in. Back seat. Stay low. Victoria hesitated only a second before climbing in, with Emma pulling her daughter down below window level. Ethan started the engine reverse smoothly, took the service exit that maintenance used, emerged 2 blocks from the main entrance. The black SUV never moved. In the rearview mirror, Emma's eyes found his. Are we running from bad people? Ethan's hands tightened on the wheel. Yes. Like in movies? Not like movies. In movies, the good guys always win. Don't good guys win in real life? Victoria pulled Emma closer. Sometimes, baby, when they're very good and very lucky. Ethan turned onto Interstate 5, merged into afternoon traffic, became invisible among 10,000 other sedans carrying people to lives that didn't include armed mercenaries and dead husbands' promises. His phone buzzed. Jenkins, cross, where are you taking them? Somewhere Blackwood doesn't know about. He doesn't need to know. He's got resources. So do I, Ethan's tone went flat. Tell William Sterling his daughter and granddaughter are safe. Tell him I'll call with location once I'm sure we're not followed. Who the hell are you? Someone who keeps promises. He hung up. Victoria watched him drive 3-lane changes in 2 minutes, checking mirrors constantly, pattern recognition software running in his brain, trained to spot tails. You do this a lot. Run from people used to. Different continent, different reasons. Michael's reasons, silence. Then, yeah, Michael's reasons. Emma's voice came small from below the seat. Did you know my daddy? Ethan's grip on the steering wheel shifted, knuckles briefly white before relaxing. I did, sweetheart. He was a good man. Mommy says he's in heaven. Your mommy's right. Do you think he can see us? Ethan glanced in the mirror, saw Victoria's expression raw with grief she usually kept locked away. I think if anyone could find a way to watch over you, it'd be your dad. He loved you very much. Emma absorbed this with the seriousness children applied to fundamental truths. Mommy cries sometimes when she thinks I'm asleep. Victoria's face crumbled. Emma, baby. It's okay, Mommy. I cry too. The safe house was a misnomer, really just a storage unit converted to living space by a veterans charity Ethan volunteered with. 40 feet by 20, cot, hot plate, bathroom barely functional, but brick walls and one entrance, and no paper trail connecting it to his name. He parked inside, pulled the rolling door down, flipped the battery-powered lantern. Dim light carved shadows from concrete. This is safe. Victoria looked around, CEO accustomed to corner offices, not concrete bunkers. Safe is relative. This is unknown. Unknown is better than fortified right now. How long do we stay here until I figure out Blackwood's next move? And then I move first. Emma explored, found the cot, sat with her rabbit. Her stomach growled. Ethan pulled protein bars from a duffel bag Victoria hadn't noticed him carrying. Always prepared, always planning 3 moves ahead. Victoria took the bar, didn't eat it. You said you're the reason Michael's dead. Explain. Not in front of Emma. She deserves to know she's 7. She deserves to keep being 7 a little longer. Victoria wanted to argue. Couldn't. Emma played with Captain Hoppy humming something processing trauma, the way children did, compartmentalizing without understanding they were doing it. Ethan's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered on speaker. Captain Cross. Blackwood's voice smooth amused. Taking the CEO and her daughter off the grid. Bold move. How did you? I have resources. You have skills. But skills don't stop bullets. Skills don't stop what's already in motion. If you touch Emma, I don't need to touch her. I just need you to understand the stakes. 72 hours cross. After that, I stop being polite. I stop using intermediaries. I come myself, and I don't leave loose ends. The line died. Victoria's color drained. He knows we're together. He knows everything, not everything. He doesn't know where we are. And he doesn't know what I'm capable of. What are you capable of? Ethan met her eyes. Things Michael didn't put in his letters. His second phone buzzed, the one he kept for emergencies only. Mrs. Chen, Noah's after-school sitter. The screen lit up with a text instead of a call this time, Noah asking for you. Breathing sounds different. Should I be worried? Ethan's chest constricted. He typed back, on my way. If it gets worse, call 911. Victoria caught his expression. What's wrong? My son. I need to check on him. You're leaving. Just for an hour, Victoria. I can't. He stopped, frustration and duty colliding. Noah's alone except for a 70-year-old neighbor. He has severe asthma. If something happens and I'm not there, go. Victoria's decision came quick, certain. Emma and I will be fine for an hour. We'll stay locked in, won't open for anyone. The drive to his apartment took 23 minutes, every red light an eternity. Ethan parked illegally, ran up 3 flights of stairs because the elevator was too slow, burst through his door to find Mrs. Chen on the couch, Noah beside her, inhaler in his small hands. The boy looked up, relief flooding his features. Dad, you're home early. Ethan knelt, listened to Noah's breathing, heard the slight wheeze that meant inflammation building. Not crisis yet, not even close. But Mrs. Chen was right to worry. The sound was different. How you feeling, buddy? Okay. Just couldn't run at recess. Got tired. Did you use your inhaler? Noah nodded, twice. Like you showed me. Good job. Ethan pulled him close, felt the small body relax against him. You did exactly right. Mrs. Chen stood gathering her things. I didn't mean to worry you, Mr. Cross, but after last time you did right to text. Thank you for staying with him. After she left, Ethan sat with Noah on the couch, monitoring his breathing, counting the seconds between inhales. The wheeze was subsiding. The rescue inhaler was working. This wasn't the hospital-level emergency his panic had conjured. Dad, Noah said quietly, are you helping someone? What makes you ask that? You have that look, like in the picture with the other soldiers. The serious one. Ethan pulled his phone from his pocket, showed Noah a photo. This lady and her daughter need help. Bad people are after them. I'm keeping them safe. Noah studied the image of Victoria and Emma taken from Sterling Aviation's website. She looks like a mom. She is. And she lost someone important. Like we lost Mom. Understanding dawned in Noah's young eyes, wisdom beyond 5 years. So you're helping because you know what it's like to lose someone. Yeah, buddy, that's exactly why. That's good. Noah leaned his head against Ethan's shoulder. Mom would want you to help them. She always helped people. The observation hit harder than expected. Memory of Sarah volunteering at the food bank, taking in stray animals, believing goodness was contagious if you spread it consistently enough. His phone vibrated. Text from unknown number. Your boy's inhaler won't help when his throat closes from anaphylaxis. Peanut allergies are so unpredictable. Would be a shame if traces ended up in his school lunch. Ethan's vision tunneled. Noah didn't have peanut allergies, but the threat was clear. They knew where Noah went to school, knew his medical vulnerabilities, were willing to threaten a 5-year-old to gain leverage. He stood, made his decision. Buddy, how would you like to have a sleepover with some new friends? Now, right now, pack your backpack. Bring your meds, your inhaler, your nebulizer. We're going on an adventure. Is it because of the bad people? Ethan knelt again, met his son's eyes. Yes, But I promise you will be safe. I'll make sure of it. Noah nodded solemnly. Okay. Can I bring my airplane book? You can bring whatever you need. 20 minutes later, they arrived back at the storage unit. Ethan knocked the pattern 2 paws, 3 paws, 1. Victoria opened the door, surprise registering when she saw Noah. This is my son. Noah, this is Miss Victoria and her daughter Emma. You'll be staying together for a little while. Emma looked up from the cot where she'd been drawing. Hi, that's Captain Hoppy. She held up the rabbit. He protects people. Noah approached, carefully studied the worn stuffed animal with the kind of attention children gave important things. He's missing an eye. That makes him special. Emma's voice carried conviction. He can see things other rabbits can't. Like what? Like when people are scared but pretending not to be. Like when someone's brave even though they want to cry. Noah processed this seriously. Can I hold him? Emma looked to Victoria, who nodded. Noah took the rabbit carefully, cradled it like something precious. Ethan pulled Victoria aside. They threatened him. Knew his school, his medical conditions. I couldn't leave him there. You did the right thing. Victoria glanced at the children, already bonding in the way kids did when adults weren't orchestrating it. Now we protect both of them. Ethan's phone rang. Jenkins. Cross, we have a problem. Blackwood just filed emergency court order demanding Victoria produce Michael's research files within 48 hours or face contempt charges. Judge granted it. She doesn't comply, she goes to jail. Emma goes into state custody until family can be verified. That's a trap. Of course it's a trap, but it's a legal trap. If she doesn't show up to court, there's a warrant. If she does show up, Blackwood has her location. Stall him. File motions, request delays, whatever lawyers do, already doing it. But Cross, we're buying hours, not days. Victoria needs to make a choice, surrender the tech or become a fugitive. Ethan looked at Victoria, saw her watching her daughter with Noah. Both children laughing over some shared observation about Captain Hoppy's magical properties. There's a third option, Ethan said. We finish this before the deadline. How by giving Blackwood exactly what he wants and destroying him with it. That's insane. Probably. Noah, this is Miss Victoria and her daughter Emma. You'll be staying together for a little while. Emma looked up from the cot where she'd been drawing. Hi, that's Captain Hoppy. She held up the rabbit. He protects people. Noah approached, carefully studied the worn stuffed animal with the kind of attention children gave important things. He's missing an eye. That makes him special. Emma's voice carried conviction. He can see things other rabbits can't. Like what? Like when people are scared but pretending not to be. Like when someone's brave even though they want to cry me. Noah processed this seriously. Can I hold him? Emma looked to Victoria, who nodded. Noah took the rabbit carefully, cradled it like something precious. Ethan pulled Victoria aside. They threatened him. Knew his school, his medical conditions. I couldn't leave him there. You did the right thing. Victoria glanced at the children, already bonding in the way kids did when adults weren't orchestrating it. Now we protect both of them. Victoria watched Ethan check the perimeter for the third time, testing the door lock, examining the ventilation grate, mapping sightlines through the single window. The methodical precision reminded her of Michael before deployments, the ritual preparation that transformed husband into soldier. He was the same, she said quietly, before missions, checking everything twice. Ethan paused. It keeps people alive. Did it keep him alive? The question hung between them, sharp and necessary. For a while, Ethan's response came slow, measured. Michael was the best tactical mind in our unit, could read a battlefield like most people read newspapers. But some things you can't prepare for. Some betrayals come from inside. You keep saying that. Betrayal. What really happened in Horizon? Ethan moved to the small window, checked the parking lot outside, bought himself time. The mission was supposed to be straightforward. Infiltrate an enemy compound, extract intelligence on weapons trafficking, exfiltrate before dawn. 8-man team, Michael on communications, me on point. And it went wrong. It went wrong before we even arrived. Someone leaked our insertion point, our timing, our objectives. Enemy forces were waiting, superior numbers, superior position. We walked into an ambush. Victoria's breath caught. Michael never mentioned an ambush in his letters. He wouldn't have. Some things you don't put in writing, some things you don't want the people you love to carry. Ethan turned from the window. We fought our way to partial cover, took casualties. Then Michael found something, a server room inside the compound, an intelligence about chemical weapons, biological agents, things that could kill thousands if they reached the wrong hands. So he stayed to get it. He stayed because the mission mattered more than his life. He told me to get the team out, said he'd find his own way. Ethan's voice roughened. Text from Victoria's father, William Jenkins, briefed me. Whatever you need, money, resources, safe house. Name it. Ethan showed Victoria the message. Your father's offering help. We can't involve him more than necessary. Blackwood has eyes everywhere. We involve him strategically. William owns properties Blackwood doesn't know about. Hunting lodges, vacation homes, things under shell corporations. Places with actual beds and heating and medical supplies. Victoria hesitated, then nodded. Text him. Ask for something remote but accessible. Somewhere we can defend if necessary. Ethan replied to William, received an address within minutes. Cabin in the Cascades, 2 hours north, fully stocked, owned by a trust that couldn't be traced to Sterling family, without subpoenas that would take weeks to process. We move in the morning, Ethan decided. Tonight we rest here. Tomorrow we relocate to defensible position and prepare the counterattack. Then Noah was born, fighting for his life in the ICU. I couldn't chase ghosts while my son needed me. So I let it go, buried the questions with everything else. Victoria wiped her eyes. Michael's last letters mentioned you. Said if anything happened, I should find Jay. Said you'd know what to do. I didn't know what to do. For 3 years I hid, mopped floors, tried to forget. Then I saw you and Emma in that parking lot, and everything I'd buried came rushing back. Why? Why did seeing us change anything? Because Michael made me promise. Ethan's voice dropped to something raw, vulnerable. The night before Horace and we were on watch together, he showed me pictures of you and Emma, talked about the life he was going to build when he got home. Then he made me swear if anything happened to him, I'd find you, protect you, make sure Emma knew her father loved her. You've been at Sterling Aviation for 8 months, watching, waiting, making sure you were safe. I didn't plan to reveal myself. Didn't think I had the right. But Blackwood forced the issue. You had every right. Victoria's hand found his arm. You were honoring your friend. That's not weakness. That's loyalty. The children's laughter interrupted the moment. Emma was teaching Noah how Captain Hoppy's magic worked, explaining the rabbit's ability to see fear and courage, to know when people needed protecting. Noah listened with the seriousness of a boy who understood what it meant to need protection. They're good together, Victoria observed. Emma hasn't laughed like that since Michael died. Noah either. Ethan watched his son, saw Sarah in the blonde hair, in the gentle way he handled the stuffed rabbit. He's been carrying too much for a 5-year-old. Worry about money, about my work schedule, about his own body failing him. Kids shouldn't carry that weight. Neither should single parents. Victoria's voice softened. But we do, because we have to, because there's no one else. The shared understanding passed between them. People who'd learned that grief didn't end, but transformed, that love didn't die, but found new shapes, that survival wasn't living. But sometimes it was enough. Ethan's phone rang. Jenkins, Cross, we have a problem. Blackwood just filed emergency court order demanding Victoria produce Michael's research files within 48 hours or face contempt charges. Judge granted it. She doesn't comply. She goes to jail. Emma goes into state custody until family can be verified. That's a trap. Of course it's a trap, but it's a legal trap. If she doesn't show up to court, there's a warrant. If she does show up, Blackwood has her location. Stall him. File motions, request delays, whatever lawyers do. Already doing it. But Cross, we're buying hours, not days. Victoria needs to make a choice, surrender the tech or become a fugitive. Ethan looked at Victoria, saw her watching her daughter with Noah. Both children laughing over some shared observation about Captain Hoppy's magical properties. There's a third option, Ethan said. We finish this before the deadline. How? By giving Blackwood exactly what he wants and destroying him with it. That's insane. Probably. But it's the only move that ends this without Victoria losing everything. After hanging up, Ethan explained the situation. Victoria listened, face hardening with each detail. If I give him the files, he sells the technology. If I refuse, Emma goes into foster care while I fight legal battles from jail. Some choice, we make our own choice. Ethan pulled out his laptop. Michael's research, is it complete? Could someone build the system from the files alone? Yes. That's why I've kept it locked down. But Ethan, if that technology gets out, it won't, because we're going to give Blackwood corrupted files. Ones that look legitimate but fail catastrophically when implemented. You're talking about sabotage. I'm talking about destroying his credibility. He sells corrupted tech to foreign buyers. They discover it's worthless. His reputation burns. No one trusts him again. End of thread. That could take months to discover. By then, he'll have our money and will still be in danger. Not if we accelerate the timeline. Force him to demonstrate the tech publicly before the sale completes. When it fails in front of his buyers, the deal collapses. He's exposed. We're safe. Victoria studied him. You've done this before. Psychological operations. Different context, same principles. Make the enemy think they're winning, then pull the foundation out from under them. Emma's voice interrupted. Mommy, Noah's breathing sounds funny. Both adults turned. Noah sat on the cot, lips slightly blue, using his inhaler with practiced efficiency, but struggling to pull air past inflamed airways. Ethan was beside him in 2 steps. Hey, buddy, count with me. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. Noah tried manage 3 counts before the breath broke into coughing. Nebulizer, now! Ethan grabbed the device from Noah's backpack, began setup with automatic precision. Victoria, there's a bottle of albuterol solution in the side pocket. Already on it. She handed him the medication, watched as he loaded the nebulizer with practiced ease. Noah, you're okay, just medicine time. The familiar hiss of vaporized medication filled the small space. Noah breathed it in, small chest working hard, but gradually the wheeze began to ease. Emma sat beside Noah, silent solidarity. Captain Hoppy positioned between them like a guardian. Is he going to be okay? Emma whispered to Victoria. Yes, baby. He just needs his medicine. Like when you needed your special cast when you broke your arm. That hurt a lot. This hurts different. But it gets better with medicine and time. The nebulizer treatment took 15 minutes. Color returned to Noah's lips. His breathing steadied. Crisis averted, but Ethan's mind raced with logistics. They couldn't stay here indefinitely. Noah needed climate control, clean airspace to breathe properly. The storage unit was temporary at best, dangerous at worst. His phone buzzed. It had text from Victoria's father, William Jenkins, briefed me. Whatever you need, money, resources, safe house. Name it. Ethan showed Victoria the message. Your father's offering help. We can't involve him more than necessary. Blackwood has eyes everywhere. We involve him strategically. William owns properties Blackwood doesn't know about. Hunting lodges, vacation homes, things under shell corporations, places with actual beds and heating and medical supplies. Victoria hesitated, then nodded. Text him. Ask for something remote but accessible. Somewhere we can defend if necessary. Ethan replied to William, received an address within minutes. Cabin in the Cascades, 2 hours north, fully stocked, owned by a trust that couldn't be traced to Sterling family without subpoenas that would take weeks to process. We move in the morning, Ethan decided. Tonight we rest here. Tomorrow we relocate to defensible position and prepare the counterattack. What counterattack? Victoria, you're an engineer. You understand Michael's technology better than anyone. Can you create convincing fake files that would pass initial inspection but fail under real-world testing? Yes, but I'd need time and equipment. William's cabin has internet. You work remotely. I'll handle security. We give Blackwood his demonstration, watch it fail. Then Jenkins arrests him for fraud and attempted murder while he's humiliated in front of his buyers. You're asking me to falsify my husband's final project. I'm asking you to weaponize it. Michael wanted this tech destroyed, right? We destroy it by making Blackwood destroy his own credibility, trying to sell broken goods. Victoria looked at Emma and Noah, both sleeping now on the cot. Emma's arm draped protectively over Noah. Captain Hoppy nestled between them. Okay, we do it your way. But if this fails, it won't. Because failure means those kids lose everything. And I've already lost enough to last several lifetimes. They spent the night in shifts, one sleeping, while the other kept watch. Ethan took first watch, sat against the wall where he could see the door weapon within reach. Victoria woke at 2 a.m., took over, let him get 3 hours of rest that felt like minutes. At 5 a.m., they loaded the kids into the car. Drove north as dawn painted Seattle's skyline gold. Noah slept in his booster seat, nebulizer mask still around his neck from the 3 a.m. treatment. Emma clutched Captain Hoppy awake, but quiet, processing everything with 7-year-old resilience. The cabin materialized through morning mist, isolated, defensible, everything Ethan had hoped for. One entrance, clear sight lines, solid walls. William had left a note on the kitchen counter, stocked for 2 weeks. Armory in the basement. Stay safe. Armory meant William understood the stakes. Ethan checked, found hunting rifles, ammunition, first aid supplies that went beyond civilian level. Motion sensors, night vision scope. The old man had prepared for siege. Victoria set up her laptop at the kitchen table, began pulling Michael's original files from encrypted cloud storage. Ethan established security perimeter, walking the property edge, identifying approach routes, setting up the motion sensors at key points. The children explored, found board games, books, a collection of carved wooden animals that kept them occupied for hours. By midday, Victoria had isolated the core algorithms. She explained as she worked, partly to organize her own thoughts, partly because speaking to another adult about something complex felt like reclaiming normalcy. Michael designed the system to learn. Every engagement teaches it, refines targeting parameters, improves accuracy. That's what makes it valuable and dangerous. The AI doesn't just follow orders, it adapts. And you can break that learning process. I can introduce noise, random variables that compound over iterations. First test might work perfectly. Second test, minor errors. By third test, the whole system drifts catastrophically. Missed targets identify friendlies as hostiles, complete failure cascade. How long until someone notices? Depends on testing rigor. Casual demonstration. Works fine. Real-world deployment falls apart within hours. Perfect. Ethan studied the code over her shoulder, understanding maybe 10% of the technical details, but grasping the strategic implications completely. Blackwood wants to show his buyers the tech works. We give him a demo that succeeds brilliantly. He gets confident, pushes for larger demonstration. That one fails spectacularly, preferably with witnesses, cameras, evidence that proves he was selling faulty goods. Victoria's fingers paused on the keyboard. This is the kind of thinking that wins wars. This is the kind of thinking that keeps people alive. Different framing, same skill set. She returned to coding, adding subtle corruptions that would pass surface inspection, but cascade under stress. Ethan returned to security, checked camera feeds. William had installed, monitored approach roads for unfamiliar vehicles. By evening, Victoria had the framework complete. Looks perfect on paper. In practice, the targeting algorithms will drift by 0.03 degrees per calculation. Accumulates to massive errors over time. First demo might even work. Second demo fails catastrophically. Perfect. Ethan reviewed her code, saw the elegant sabotage. Michael would be proud. I hope so. She saved the files, encrypted them, set them ready to transmit. Now what? Now we contact Blackwood, offer him a trade, the files for guaranteed safety. He takes the bait because he thinks he's won. We set the terms, control the location force, the public demonstration. And if he refuses, he won't. Men like Blackwood always think they're the smartest person in the room. We let him believe it until it's too late. Emma appeared in the doorway, Captain Hoppy in one hand, Noah's hand in the other. We're hungry. Victoria smiled, the expression transforming her face from corporate warrior to mother in an instant. Let me see what Grandpa stocked in the kitchen. The four of them ate dinner together at the cabin's wooden table, canned soup heated on the stove, crackers, cheese apple slices cut into shapes that made Emma giggle and Noah forget about his lungs. It felt almost normal, almost like family. Tell us a story, Emma demanded when plates were cleared. About when you were soldiers. Ethan glanced at Victoria, received a small nod. Once upon a time, there was a man named Michael who was very good at fixing things, like helicopters. Like helicopters and trucks and radios and anything with wires or engines. He could take something broken and make it work again. Did you help him sometimes? Mostly I protected him while he worked, made sure nobody interrupted. Like you're protecting us now. Exactly like that. Noah leaned forward. Did Michael have a kid? He had a daughter. Ethan looked at Emma. The bravest daughter in the world who carries a magic rabbit that protects people. Emma's eyes widened. Captain Hoppy was my daddy's. He gave him to you to keep you safe when he couldn't be there. Emma looked at the worn rabbit with new reverence. Noah touched its remaining ear gently. After the children were asleep, Noah in one bedroom, Emma in another. Both doors opened so they could see each other across the hall. Victoria found Ethan on the cabin's porch, staring at stars invisible from Seattle's light pollution. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for the story, for making Michael real to them." He was real. The best parts of him anyway. The parts worth remembering. What about the other parts? Ethan considered the question. He could be stubborn, refused to retreat even when the math said retreat was the only option. Believed in the mission so completely he'd sacrifice himself without hesitation. Is that a flaw? It is when you leave behind people who need you. Victoria absorbed this. You think he was wrong to stay in Horizon? I think he made a choice. The same choice soldiers have made since warfare began. Mission over self, duty over survival. He wasn't wrong, he was faithful to his principles. That faithfulness just cost him everything. And cost you a friend. Cost me more than that. Cost Sarah the chance to grieve properly, surrounded by people who understood. Cost Noah his godfather. Cost you and Emma answers and closure. Michael's sacrifice rippled outward. We're all still drowning in those ripples. But you're here now. Victoria's hand found his in the darkness. Still sacrificing, still putting others first. Someone has to. Why does it have to be you? Because I made a promise. And because some debts don't disappear just because the creditor is dead. They transfer. They accumulate interest. And eventually they come due. Ethan composed the message on his burner phone, careful with every word. You want Michael's tech. Here's the deal. Files in exchange for written guarantee of safety, notarized legally binding, plus public demonstration to verify authenticity. Pier 47 Warehouse 3 tomorrow, 8 p.m. Come alone or deals off. Blackwood's response came within minutes. You're in no position to dictate terms. Ethan replied Victoria just filed insurance policy with her lawyer. If anything happens to her or Emma, files get released to DoD and international press. Your choice, negotiate or lose everything. Longer pause. Then fine. Tomorrow 8 p.m. But cross you come alone. She stays safe with Emma. Ethan showed Victoria the message. He took the bait because he thinks he's still in control. Let him believe it. That night, after the children settled into deeper sleep, Victoria knocked softly on Ethan's door. He opened it to find her holding a bottle of whiskey she'd found in William's liquor cabinet. I can't sleep, she admitted. Too much adrenaline, too many memories. They sat on the porch with glasses of whiskey. Neither really wanted the ritual of drinking more comforting than the alcohol itself. Tell me about Sarah, Victoria said, if you're willing. Ethan stared at the tree line where shadows merged into impenetrable darkness. She was too good for me. Everyone said it. Her friends, her family, even my team. Sarah Chen, valedictorian volunteer coordinator, the kind of person who remembered everyone's birthday and made everyone feel important. She chose me anyway. How did you meet church, if you can believe it? My mother dragged me to service when I was home on leave. Sarah was coordinating the food drive. She asked me to help carry boxes. 3 hours later, we were still talking. Love at first sight, more like recognition, like meeting someone you already knew you'd been looking for. Victoria nodded slowly. That's how Michael described meeting me. Said he walked into an engineering seminar and knew. Michael had good instincts. They lapsed into silence, the comfortable kind that didn't require filling. Somewhere in the forest, an owl called. Wind stirred the pine branches. She was 8 months pregnant, Ethan said eventually. Sarah, the night she died, coming home from a prenatal checkup. She called me from the parking lot. I was in a briefing. Let it go to voicemail. You couldn't have known. I could have answered. 5 minutes on the phone, she stays in that parking lot. The semi doesn't jackknife at that exact moment on that exact stretch of highway. 5 minutes. Victoria set down her glass. You carry that every day. The weight of 5 minutes you can never get back. Some weights don't get lighter. You just get stronger at carrying them. Michael said something similar. Before his last deployment, he said the things we carry make us who we become, that our scars are our stories. Michael always had a gift for making pain sound poetic. Victoria laughed softly, the first genuine laugh Ethan had heard from her. He did, infuriating and endearing in equal measure. They finished the whiskey as dawn approached, neither sleeping, both preparing for what came next. The children woke with the sun oblivious to adult exhaustion, demanding breakfast and adventures and answers to impossible questions about why the sky was blue and where birds slept and whether Captain Hoppy could fly if he really tried. At noon, Ethan briefed Victoria on the plan's final details. He would go to the warehouse alone. Jenkins and a federal team would be in position monitoring through the wire Ethan wore. The corrupted files would be transferred. Blackwood would demonstrate the technology for his buyers. The technology would fail. Federal agents would move in, arrests would follow, simple in theory, catastrophic in the 100 ways it could go wrong. What if he doesn't demonstrate? What if he just takes the files and runs? He won't. Ethan was certain. Men like Blackwood need validation. They need to prove they're the smartest person in the room. He'll want to show off, to demonstrate that he won where everyone else failed. That ego is his weakness. And if you're wrong, then I improvise. It's what I'm trained for. Victoria stood closer than professional distance required. Promise me something, anything. Come back. Both children are sleeping in there dreaming about adventures and happy endings. Don't make them wake up to new trauma. Ethan wanted to promise absolutely, wanted to give her the certainty she needed. But he'd made that promise to Sarah once, had failed to keep it through no fault of his own. Life didn't honor promises. It only honored effort. I'll do everything I can, he said instead. It wasn't the promise she wanted, but it was the only honest one he could give. The final message arrived at midnight. New location. Pier 47 Warehouse 3. 1 hour earlier than planned, 7 p.m. Come alone, come unarmed, or the girl dies first. Victoria read the message. It's a trap. Every move has been a trap. Difference is, now we know it. Now we control how it springs. How? By making sure Jenkins and his team are in position before I arrive. By wearing a wire. By ensuring that when Blackwood makes his move, federal agents have everything on record. When he threatens us, when he confesses to Hayes' conspiracy, when he reveals himself completely, they take him down legally. No escape, no appeals. Victoria looked at him, saw the certainty in his expression, the years of training that had taught him to stay calm when everything burned. You've done this before. Walked into impossible situations and walked out, more times than I can count. And you've always walked out. Ethan met her eyes. So far, that's not reassuring, wasn't meant to be, just honest. She kissed him then. Brief, unexpected, the kind of kiss that happened between people who'd run out of words and needed another language. He didn't pull away, didn't lean in, just accepted it as what it was. Acknowledgement that something had grown between them, something fragile and new and worth protecting. When she stepped back, her eyes were clear. For luck, I'll take it. Emma appeared in the doorway, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Are you leaving? Ethan knelt to her level, for a little while, to make sure the bad people can't hurt us anymore. Will you come back? He looked at this child who'd lost her father, who'd trusted a stranger with her life, who'd given his son her most precious possession, because that's what family did. I promise I'll try, Emma, and I keep my promises. She hugged him, small arms fierce around his neck. Captain Hoppy says you'll be okay. Then it must be true. He stood, caught Victoria's gaze one final time, then walked into the darkness toward whatever waited at Pier 47. The lights died. Complete darkness for 3 seconds, enough time for training to override panic for Ethan to drop and roll left, while muzzle flashes painted the warehouse in strobing orange. Bullets sparked concrete where he'd stood, professional grouping center mass targeting. Emergency lighting kicked in, dim red glow. Chaos illuminated. Ethan's hand found the metal bar he'd spotted on entry, construction debris nobody had bothered clearing. 12 pounds of steel pipe, not a weapon by design, but physics didn't care about intent. First mercenary turned toward movement. Ethan's swing connected with the knee joint, buckling, wrong man going down. Weapon clattered. Ethan already moving, pipe whistling towards second target's head, impact solid, decisive. 4 left. Victoria and Emma beyond them. Math said impossible. Math didn't account for rage channeled through years of training. Third mercenary fired. Bullet grazed Ethan's ribs, white-hot pain irrelevant compared to the clock ticking in his head. Noah in hospital. Emma gagged and terrified. Michael's ghost screaming, promises broken. Ethan closed distance before the shooter could adjust to aim pipe, dropped for hand-to-hand range, elbow to throat, knee to solar plexus, weapon, stripped with muscle memory, so ingrained his conscious mind barely participated. Now armed, now dangerous. Fifth mercenary was smart, used Emma as shield weapon to her head. Ethan froze. Blackwood's voice cut through shadow. Impressive, Captain, but ultimately futile. You can't save them all. Watch me. Brave words. Last words usually. The mercenary's finger tightened on the trigger. Then Victoria moved. Zip-tied hands came up fast, grabbed the man's weapon, wrist twisted with strength, born from pure maternal rage. The gun discharged, bullet punching, sealing concrete, dust raining. Ethan's appropriated weapon spoke twice both rounds. Center mass, professional double tap. The mercenary fell. Emma screamed behind her gag. Sixth mercenary made the mistake of hesitation, looking at his fallen comrade, instead of maintaining threat focus. Ethan covered the distance in 4 strides, disarmed him with the kind of efficiency that came from doing something 1,000 times until it became automatic. Silence except for heavy breathing and Emma's muffled sob. Blackwood stood alone, weapon drawn, but lowered calculation, replacing confidence. You're making this harder than it needs to be, Cross. You threatened his daughter. Ethan's words came flat, empty of everything except purpose. Michael's daughter. The girl I promised to protect. Michael was a fool. Blackwood's composure cracked slightly. Brilliant engineer, terrible businessman. He discovered something that could change warfare, could save American lives, and he wanted to destroy it because of ethics. Ethics like not slaughtering civilians. The algorithm is 95% accurate, 12% error rate, Ethan quoted Michael's notes. 12% means mass casualties in urban warfare, means children die because a computer made a mistake. I'm manufacturing the future. Countries are already bidding. The voice came from the warehouse entrance, familiar and wrong. Maybe they'll believe me. Ethan turned weapon tracking. Colonel Hayes stepped into the light. 60 years old, weathered by decades of service, wearing full-dress uniform, heavy with medals earned and bought. Ethan's former commanding officer. The man who'd briefed Horrison. The man who'd sent them into the trap. Hayes. The word barely escaped before understanding crashed down. Not behind. Facilitating. Hayes moved closer, own weapon holstered, confident. Michael's technology was too valuable to let one man's conscience destroy it. So yes, I authorized the leak. I ensured the compound exploded with Michael inside. I've spent 3 years cleaning up the survivors who might have asked questions. You killed our team. I secured America's strategic interests. Hayes' tone hardened. We make hard choices so civilians don't have to. Michael's sacrifice saved millions in R&D costs. His death accelerated the timeline. Blackwood gets to sell the technology. I get to retire comfortably. Except Michael. Except his widow. Except his daughter who'll never know her father. Acceptable losses. Hayes pulled his weapon, now casual threat. Cross, you're the last loose end. The last person who knows what really happened. Come quietly or Emma learns what her father's insides looked like when we scraped him off the compound walls. Emma's muffled scream pierced the moment. Ethan's finger tensed on the trigger. 2 targets, both armed, both trained, both willing to kill a child to maintain operational security. Behind him, Victoria and Emma zip-tied, vulnerable. Hayes smiled. See the problem? You can't win. Then Victoria spoke, gag, somehow worked free. Ethan, the phone. The call was still connected. Ethan's mind raced. The phone he'd activated before entering. The line to Jenkins left open, recording everything. Hayes lunged toward Victoria. Ethan fired. Not to kill, to wound, shoulder shot that spun Hayes around, weapon falling. Blackwood raised his own pistol, but Ethan was already moving, closing distance, striking the weapon away, driving Blackwood to concrete with force that cracked ribs. Enough. Federal agents poured through the entrance, tactical gear weapons, drawn, Jenkins leading them. We got everything, every word. Hayes clutched his bleeding shoulder, face twisted with disbelief and rage. You can't prove chain of custody. We've been building this case for 6 months. Jenkins moved forward, cuffing Hayes roughly. Ever since William Sterling contacted the FBI about suspicious activity around his daughter-in-law's research. You and Blackwood were sloppy. Federal agents swarmed the space, securing weapons, calling ambulances, photographing evidence. Ethan moved to Victoria, and Emma cut their restraints with a tactical knife one agent provided. Emma launched into his arms, sobbing. Captain Hoppy crushed between them. Victoria pulled Emma close, checked for injuries with frantic mother efficiency. Ethan's phone vibrated. Hospital. He answered despite the chaos. Mr. Cross, Mrs. Chen's panic bled through the line. Noah's oxygen saturation just dropped to 78%. We need you here now. The doctors are saying. The rest drowned in static as his world tilted sideways. Victoria saw his expression change color, draining. What is it, Noah? He has to go, now, Jenkins approached. Cross, we need statements. My son is dying. Ethan's words cut like broken glass. Statements can wait. He was moving before anyone could object, Emma still in his arms. Victoria grabbed her daughter, followed. The federal agents parted, understanding, written on faces that had seen fathers make impossible choices. The drive happened in federal convoy lights and sirens carving through traffic. But every red light felt like eternity compressed into seconds. Emma sat between them, small, warm weight, Victoria's hand gripping Ethan's knee, anchor or lifeline or both. Tell me about Noah, Victoria said quietly, voice steady despite the chaos they'd just survived. Ethan's words came fragmented, broken by the need to focus on driving and the terror of arriving too late. 5 years old, born fighting to breathe. His mother died before she could hold him. Every day since has been borrowed time against lungs that don't work right. He survived this long, he'll survive tonight. You don't know that? No, but I choose to believe it. Because the alternative means your son loses his father to grief before he even gets a chance to know him. The hospital materialized through windshield bright against darkness. Ethan ran before the vehicle stopped, federal agents scrambling after him, protocol abandoned for paternal panic. Pediatric ICU, Noah's room, the breathing tube in place, mechanical ventilator, hissing rhythm alarms, screaming numbers that meant crisis. Nurses surrounding the bed, doctor barking orders. Mrs. Chen pressed against the wall, face wet with tears. Mr. Cross, the doctor turned, expression grave. His lungs aren't responding to treatment. We've increased oxygen to 100%, but his saturation won't climb above 80. We need to consider ECMO. Do it, whatever he needs. ECMO means heart-lung bypass. It's invasive, risky. My son is dying right now. Risk is irrelevant. The doctor nodded, turned back to the team, orders flowing in medical terminology. Ethan didn't understand and didn't need to. He reached Noah's bedside, took the small hand, felt how cold it was, how the pulse fluttered, weak beneath translucent skin. Hey, buddy. Words failed, so he just held on, poured every ounce of will into that connection, trying through pure force of need to make his son's lungs remember how to work. Victoria appeared with Emma. The girl's eyes went wide, seeing Noah surrounded by machines. But Victoria knelt beside her, whispered something, and Emma nodded solemnly. Can I give him back, Captain Hoppy? Emma's question cut through medical chaos. He needs the magic more than me right now. Ethan managed a nod. Emma approached, carefully placed the stuffed rabbit on Noah's pillow, arranged it so the one-eyed face looked down protectively. Be brave, she whispered to Noah. Like your dad. Like my dad. Like all the dads who love us. The ECMO machine arrived, massive apparatus wheeled in by specialist tubes and pumps that would take over what Noah's body couldn't do. The doctor approached Ethan. We need you to step outside during setup. It'll take 20 minutes. I'm not leaving him. Mr. Cross, you can't help here. Let us work. Victoria's palm pressed against his back, gentle pressure. Come on, let them save him. They moved to the hallway, Ethan's legs barely holding Victoria, guiding him to plastic chairs that had supported 10,000 other families through 10,000 other crises. Emma climbed into his lap without asking permission, head against his chest, small hands gripping his shirt. He's going to be okay, she said with 7-year-old certainty. Captain Hoppy always works. Ethan couldn't respond, words lodged somewhere between lungs and lips, trapped by the crushing weight of helplessness. Jenkins appeared uncomfortable in the hospital setting. Cross Hayes is talking, full confession. He's giving us everything. Blackwood's in federal custody. You're clear. All of it. Good. There's more. Hayes admitted he ordered hits on the other Horrison survivors. Made them look like accidents. You were next, but you disappeared too well. Lucky me. Jenkins shifted weight. There's something else. We found a safe deposit box registered to Michael Sterling. Victoria's listed as beneficiary. Inside was a video, recorded 3 days before he died. He left instructions only to be opened if you and Victoria were both present and Hayes was arrested. Ethan looked up. Michael left a video. Jenkins held out a tablet. I haven't watched it. Felt like that was family business. Victoria took the tablet, hands shaking. Emma slipped off Ethan's lap, gave them space with intuition beyond her years. Victoria touched the play button. Michael's face filled the screen, younger alive, smiling despite the desert camouflage and dust. The timestamp read August 20. V, if you're watching this, I'm gone. And if Ethan's there with you, it means he kept his promise. Hey Jay, you better have kept your promise. Michael's expression shifted serious now. I need you both to know something. The mission tomorrow, or else it's compromised. Hayes leaked our intel to enemy forces. I have proof. Encrypted files hidden in our R&D servers under Emma's birthday, plus Sarah's maiden name. Hayes is selling my technology to Blackwood. They want me dead, so I can't testify. Victoria's breath caught sharp inhale of shock and grief compressed. On screen, Michael continued. I'm going in anyway. The intelligence we're after is real. Chemical weapons, bioagents, things that can't fall into enemy hands. Worth dying for. But Jay, if I don't make it, promise me something. Not just protecting V and Emma. Promise me you'll finish what I started. Destroy the AI targeting system. Expose Hayes. Make sure my death meant something. Michael paused, smile returning straight and warm. V, I love you. Emma Daddy loves you. And Jay brother, take care of them. Not because you owe me, because they deserve someone who knows what loyalty means. Someone who understands that family is who shows up when everything's burning down. The video ended. Silence in the hallway, broken only by the distant beep of monitors and muffled conversations. He knew. Victoria's words came out strangled. He knew Hayes would kill him, and he went anyway. He went because the mission was real. Ethan's chest constricted, grief and rage and understanding colliding. Because saving lives mattered more than saving his own. The door to Noah's room opened. The doctor emerged, mask pulled down, exhaustion written across her features. We've got him stabilized. ECMO is working. His oxygen saturation is climbing. He's not out of danger, but he's fighting. Relief hit like a physical blow. Ethan stood, legs unsteady. Can I see him 5 minutes? Then we need to let him rest. Noah lay surrounded by machinery tubes running from his small body to the bypass machine that was doing the work his lungs couldn't. But his color was better, the monitors showing numbers that meant life instead of countdown to death. Ethan took his hand again, this time feeling warmth returning, pulse stronger. You did it, buddy. You held on. Noah's eyes flickered open, confused by sedation, searching for anchor. Dad, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Did you save them? The girl and her mom. Yeah, we're all safe now. Good. Noah's eyes drifted closed again. Captain Hoppy helped. He did. So did you, being brave when I couldn't be there. That helped most of all. Emma appeared in the doorway with Victoria. Can I come in? Ethan nodded. Emio approached carefully, looked at Noah, surrounded by machines, then at Ethan with expression far too serious for 7 years old. My dad died saving people. Your dad almost died saving us. That means our dads are the same kind of brave. Victoria pulled Emma close, tears streaming silently. 3 days later, Noah came off ECMO. 5 days later, he breathed on his own. 1 week later, doctors cleared him for discharge with new medication protocols and stern warnings about avoiding triggers. Ethan carried him to the car. New prescriptions rattling in the pharmacy bag, hope measured in inhaler refills, and controller medications that insurance finally covered through Sterling Aviation's expanded health benefits. Victoria and Emma met them at Ethan's apartment, brought groceries, helped unpack. Emma sat with Noah on the couch, showed him the comics she'd drawn during his hospital stay, explained plot points with earnest intensity. Noah listened, asking questions about the rabbit's superpowers, whether helicopters could really shoot lasers. You'll stay for dinner, Ethan asked Victoria in the kitchen, shoulders occasionally touching in the small space. If you'll have us. Always. The word carried weight, neither acknowledged aloud. Always meant future tense, meant planning beyond crisis, meant choosing to build instead of simply surviving. Hayes pleaded guilty to avoid trial. Conspiracy, murder, espionage, life without parole. Blackwood faced similar charges. The technology Michael died protecting was classified, buried, officially destroyed per DOD committee review. William Sterling offered Ethan the security division position again. This time Ethan accepted. Not for money, though the salary meant Noah's medical needs were covered. Not for prestige. But because Michael's video had been right, finishing what his friends started mattered. Hiring veterans, giving them purpose, honoring the dead by serving the living. 4 months after the warehouse, Ethan stood in William Sterling's office, contract signed, future secured. Victoria appeared in the doorway. Ready for. She smiled, mysterious. You'll see. They drove to the National Cemetery, Emma and Noah in the back seat, both quiet with the solemnity children brought to places adults cried. Michael's headstone stood white against green grass, name and rank, and dates that said nothing about who he'd been. Victoria placed flowers. Emma arranged Captain Hoppy at the base. Noah stood beside Ethan, small hand finding his father's larger one. Is this Uncle Michael? Noah asked. Yes, Mom says he was your best friend. He was, still is in ways that matter. Emma knelt by the headstone, traced her father's name with careful fingers. Hi, Daddy. I brought my new brother to meet you. His name is Noah. He's brave like you were. Victoria's breath hitched. Emma, sweetheart. It's okay, Mommy. Daddy knows. Captain Hoppy told me. Daddy's happy we're a family now. Ethan knelt beside Emma, eye level with the girl who'd trusted him with her life, who'd given his son her most precious possession, who'd decided family was choice, not blood. Your dad made me promise to take care of you. Both of you. I'm trying to keep that promise. You are. Emma's voice carried certainty. Because promises aren't just about keeping people safe. They're about keeping people loved. Victoria joined them, pulled all three close, Emma, Noah, Ethan, creating circle that included Michael's ghost without being haunted by it. 6 more months passed in the mathematics of healing. Ethan's division hired 50 veterans by month 4, 100 by month 6. Men and women who'd served and returned to find civilian life incomprehensible, now working security consulting, training others. Purpose reclaimed. Victoria's company thrived, contracts secured on merit, reputation rebuilt without Hayes's corruption. She and Ethan dated carefully, both aware that rushing would cheapen what they built from crisis and choice. The proposal happened on the Sterling Aviation rooftop, same spot where Ethan had first saved Victoria's life. Emma and Noah helped, holding signs reading, "Will you marry us?" because the question included all of them. Victoria said yes through tears, said it while pulling Emma and Noah into embrace that included Ethan, 4 people becoming unit. The wedding came small, intimate, 50 guests who mattered. Ethan wore dress uniform he had earned and never wanted to wear again. Victoria chose simple elegance. Noah served as ring bearer, Emma flower girl, both taking duties seriously. William Sterling gave Victoria away, shook Ethan's hand with grip that communicated trust earned and responsibility accepted. Jenkins attended off duty, brought gift of engraved compass with Michael's inscription, "Some promises outlive us." 1 year later, they returned to the cemetery. All 4 of them, family by choice and law and love that transcended biology. Michael's headstone stood unchanged, but the people visiting had transformed, scarred, but healing, broken, but repaired, choosing life deliberately after darkness tried to claim it. Noah placed new flowers carefully arranged. Emma set Captain Hoppy down for the visit, promised to retrieve him after. Ethan stood with Victoria's hand in his, watching their children pay respects to the man whose death had brought them all together. The mathematics of loss and gain never balanced, but acceptance didn't require equilibrium, just willingness to keep choosing forward motion. Michael, Ethan said quietly, "You asked me to finish what you started. I did. Your technology is destroyed. Hayes is in prison. Your family is safe. And I'm learning to forgive myself for surviving when you didn't." Victoria leaned against him. He'd be proud of what you've built, of who you've become. I became who I am because of who he was. Emma turned from the headstone. Can we tell Noah the story about the 18 seconds Ethan's chest tightened with memory, cold open warehouse choosing to save them math, that said impossible love, that said try anyway? Which 18 seconds, the ones where you saved us? Emma's eyes held wisdom beyond 7 years. When everything was dark and scary, and you still knew exactly what to do, I counted. 18 seconds from when the lights went out until you made us safe. The warehouse fight, the moment that started with darkness and ended with family. Ethan remembered 3 seconds to adapt, 15 seconds to neutralize threats, 0 seconds of doubt about who he was fighting for. You counted, I count when I'm scared. Like you taught Noah to count his breathing. Emma smiled. And now when I count to 18, I remember that's how long it takes for someone who loves you to make everything okay. Noah picked up the thread. 18 seconds sounds fast. It is. Ethan knelt between both children. But sometimes fast is enough. Sometimes 18 seconds of doing the right thing changes everything that comes after. Like a promise, Noah asked. Exactly like a promise. They stood together in the cemetery, 4 people, 1 ghost. Sunlight cutting through clouds to paint the headstones gold. Ethan had spent 3 years hiding from his past. Now he lived deliberately in his present building, future one choice at a time. Time to go home, Victoria said softly. Home. The word had weight now, meaning beyond address. Home was Emma's laughter and Noah's drawings and Victoria's hand in his at night. Home was choosing to show up every day, to love past fear, to build family from the wreckage of loss. They walked toward the car, Emma and Noah running ahead, racing to see who could reach it first. Victoria's fingers intertwined with Ethan's. You know what I realized, she said. Michael didn't just ask you to protect us. He gave you permission to live again. To be more than the guilt you carried. Took me a while to accept that permission. But you did. That's what matters. The children reached the car, both claiming victory, both laughing. Ethan helped Noah into his booster seat, checked the straps twice from habit. Victoria secured and Emma kissed her forehead, whispered something that made the girl smile. They drove away from the cemetery, leaving flowers and a stuffed rabbit and a ghost who'd finally been honored properly. In the rearview mirrors, Ethan watched the headstones recede physical distance that matched emotional progress. At home, their home now house, William had helped them buy space enough for 4 people and the family they were becoming. Noah asked for the helicopter story again. Ethan told it described the physics of rotor lift, the freedom of sky that had no limits, the feeling of flying that he'd thought he'd lost forever. I want to fly someday, Noah said, eyes bright, despite the ever-present inhaler on the nightstand. Then we'll make sure you do, even with my breathing, especially with your breathing, because the best pilots are the ones who've had to fight for every breath. They appreciate the sky more. Emma appeared in Noah's doorway, ready for bed. Captain Hoppy under her arm. Can I stay? She asked. Want to hear the story too? Victoria nodded permission. Emma climbed onto Noah's bed, arranged herself on one side while Noah took the other, both looking up at Ethan with expectation. Tell us about Uncle Michael, Emma said. The real stories, not the sad ones, the brave ones. So Ethan did. Told them about Michael's terrible jokes, his skill with engines, the time he'd fixed a Black Hawk with nothing but duct tape and stubborn refusal to accept defeat. Told them about promises made in desert sand, about brotherhood that transcended blood, about the kind of love that said, protect what matters, even when protection cost everything. Victoria stood in the doorway listening, watching Ethan transform grief into legacy, watching their children absorb stories that would shape who they became. Later, after both kids slept, Victoria found Ethan on the porch. He stood looking at stars, hands in pockets, profile outlined against suburban streetlights. She joined him, shoulder against his comfortable silence, between people who'd survived darkness together. Michael's video, she said eventually. The part at the end, about family being who shows up when everything's burning down. I remember. That's you. You showed up. You keep showing up. Even when it costs you. That's just keeping promises. No, Victoria turned to face him. That's love. Promises are words. Love is showing up every single day and choosing to stay even when staying is hard. Inside through the window, Noah stirred, reached for his inhaler from habit even in sleep. Emma shifted, pulled Captain Hoppy closer. 2 children who'd been used as weapons, now kids again, protected enough to be vulnerable, safe enough to dream. 18 seconds, Ethan said quietly. That's what Emma said. 18 seconds to save them, and the rest of your life to keep them safe. Victoria's palm found his chest, felt heartbeats steady beneath. That's the real promise. Not the dramatic rescue, the showing up every morning after. They stood together in the darkness, 2 people who'd lost too much learning to hold what remained with gratitude instead of fear. The world turned, stars wheeled overhead, and for the first time in 3 years, Ethan understood that surviving wasn't the same as living, but living was a choice he could make every day. Inside, a child coughed. Both parents turned instinctively, ready to respond, family reflexes replacing soldier training. But the cough subsided. Sleep continued. Crisis averted without intervention. Good sign, Victoria murmured. The best. They went inside together, checked on both children one final time, then retreated to their own room, where ordinary life waited bills to pay laundry, to fold the mundane, beautiful tasks of people who'd earned the right to be bored. Ethan set his alarm for 6 a.m. Work tomorrow. Veterans to hire. Programs to build. Michael's legacy to honor through action, not words. Victoria set hers for 6:30. Board meeting. Contracts to review. Company to run without corruption or compromise. They lay in darkness, hands finding each other in the space between pillows, connection that required no words. Thank you, Victoria whispered, for keeping your promise, for saving us, for staying. Thank you for letting me. The night settled. The house creaked, with familiar sounds of home heating, kicking on refrigerator, humming children breathing in rooms down the hall. The mathematics of family, simple and complex simultaneously. Ethan's last thought before sleep claimed him 18 seconds to save them, lifetime to keep them. The equation finally balanced. And in the morning when Noah's inhaler alarm sounded and Emma's voice called for breakfast and Victoria's hand squeezed his beneath the covers, Ethan rose to face another day, not as penance for surviving, but as celebration of the life he'd chosen to build from wreckage. The ghost of Michael Sterling smiled in memory, promise kept, family protected, legacy honored through the ordinary, extraordinary, an act of showing up every single day and choosing love over fear. 18 seconds had changed everything, but it was every second after that truly mattered.